And we are live. Hello, everyone. Let's see who's here. Oh my goodness. Hi, guys. I'm joining from Oakland, California. Where are you joining from? Let me know if you can see me, you can hear me, because I'm super excited to hear you. Oh my God. 130 of you are already here, and oh my goodness, with the last update from me. So thank you guys first of all for joining. After 24 hours, there's been a small hiccup. I'm feeling better now. Thank you for those who are asking. But how are you guys? I'm not seeing the chat. Let me see. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, see me. Awesome. Hello, Marla. Hello, Moaz. Hello, Harsh. Where are you guys joining from? Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix. Love this. Arizona, Morocco. That's far away from here. What time is it now, by the way? Wherever you guys are, what time is it now? Because I received some like messages saying, "Can you move this to another time?" Because like it's gonna be 3 a.m. where I am. So don't worry about those who are not here. Don't worry, it's gonna be recorded. But let's see, Philadelphia, Cologne, Cologne. Where's Cologne? Awesome. Great, great. Thank you guys for tuning in on Sunday. I know it's like such a weird time. And you know what? For those who are joining on a Sunday noon, it's noon here. It means that you're really invested in agent engineering, and that's why you're going to be rewarded because we have a packed session and we're going to break down everything from the market, from the job market, from the opportunities that exist here, and also on agents themselves. So I'm super excited. We're also going to have Hai. He's our instructor at the boot camp. He's going to be joining towards the end, and he will be showing you guys a pretty cool project that he put together just for you. So stay tuned all the way until the end. I hope you guys have your coffee, if you drink coffee, tea, chai, matcha. I don't know. What do you guys drink? Share in the chat. I'm just drinking water because I'm taking a break from caffeine. But yeah, let's see. Okay, so I know some of you. I wanted to give you a little heads up. Some of you messaged me about purchasing the bootcamp seats because we had a promo code that expired, and today we're gonna give you a chance to get a new best price, the latest price that we have, because the last one was the best. It's gone already. So if you're here to purchase the bootcamp, you cannot do it right now. Just wait until the very end because I want you to really understand what it is about, what is agent engineering about, and whether this program is going to be a good fit for you as well. And we're going to talk about that towards the end. So whoever wanted to do that, just wait until the very end. That's what I ask you. But let's see. So, first of all, I want to know, guys, did you already? I'm curious, are you guys beginners or are you like already building stuff with agents? Or tell me what are you working on if you are? I'm curious to see what your level is at. Let's see the chat. I see some people from India, Ghana. Oh my God, from every nook and cranny of the world. This is awesome. I don't know if the chat here is lagging or not, but I'm not seeing your messages on agents. All right, Nick is saying he's a beginner. Nick, that's great. Everyone is welcome here. Beginners, advanced, even advanced people are welcome here. Non-technical people are welcome here as well because you're gonna learn a lot about agents today. Oh my God, we have lots of beginners. I love this. Let's see, working. Okay, Sanchi is saying he's already working with agents. That's awesome. Sanchi, what are you building with agents? What framework you're using? Let's see. Aditya says he's a software engineer who built demo rag apps. You know how, like I say, guys, stop building demo, please. Demo rags, especially rag. This is the year of agents. But kudos to you, Aditya, for building stuff already. Let's see. Emily says she's a conversation designer. That's an interesting role. That sounds fun. What brings you here, Emily? Let's see, 5 years of experience, mostly MLOps. I love we have some experienced folks here, but things are transitioning pretty fast. Oh my God, like the speed at which everything is transitioning is like every day you're just bombarded with news. So today we're gonna make sense of it all, and hopefully we're gonna remove a little bit of that anxiety from you so that you can have a little bit of a like a long-term perspective on what's going on with agent engineering and AI engineering in general. Let's see. Brandon saying, I built one Gen AI project and working on project number two. Awesome. Awesome. We have builders here, retired pensioner from agent engineering. I'm still getting payouts from my agent engineering experience 20 years ago. Oh, tell me more about agent engineering 20 years ago. That's interesting. All right. NA8, we have some people using no code tools. This is awesome. Today, so here's a heads up. We're not going to be talking about no code tools today. Today's purely technical code agents that we're going to be covering. So if you want to explore more of like no code tools, feel free to do it on your own. But if you're serious about building your career with agent engineering, then today is the session you want to be at. Hopefully, you guys have a laptop. Let me know if you guys are watching from the laptop because this is important. Towards the end, we're going to do a project with Agent, OpenAI Agent SDK, and also MCP. I know like people like MCP, oh my gosh, we got to do some stuff with this, even though it's like there we have some like hot takes, and I'm gonna let Hai talk about this towards the end. Let's see, building an app using LangChain for especially women for getting returnships. I love this. I love this. So if you're building anything with agents that you care about, that you want to support like your community, I think this is like the best way to start building with agents. And we're going to talk more about the roadmap as well. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Let's see. Let me pull up my. All right, we have some. Oh my God, we have some previous bootcamp students here. Warren, what's up? He's done V0. I love this. I love to see here. I love you guys, whoever is from the previous bootcamp. But let's get started, guys. Today, we're going to be breaking down the hottest topic in the market. When I was like suggesting Hai on like, shall we like talk about agents, like make a full session about this? I know everybody's covering it, but nobody's covering like from every single angle, like from the market, from the industry, from the technical side, from like the career perspective as well. So I was really excited to put this together, and I hope you guys are going to get lots of value from today and lots of insight. So this is going to be a very engaging session, so feel free to ask questions. If you're not sure about whatever's going on the slide, just make sure to ask it in the chat. We have Hai over here. He's listening right now. He'll be supporting and answering as well. So don't be shy. Let's get started. How to ride the wave of agentic AI and not drown. I came up with this title yesterday. I hope it's funny, guys, because this is true. It's like you got to learn to ride it so you don't drown. So first of all, I want to say whoever has joined today's session is truly special. Again, today is a weekend, and if you are grinding on the weekend, then you're definitely on the right path. And by the end of the session, as I said, you will learn everything about the state of agent engineering. And I want you to be proud of yourself, to just like be here and always be upskilling and learning, because this field is probably one of the hardest fields out there, not only in tech, but just like in general, because it's constantly moving. And us as instructors and bootcamp hosts, we know that we have to be at the forefront of whatever is happening. Like we're talking daily, so this is going to be the freshest news that I'm bringing to you today. So our main goal today is to bring clarity around AI agents and show you the real opportunities. We're not going to be talking about hyped up terms. We're not going to be talking about, again, demos that are all over LinkedIn and social media and like Instagram and YouTube. We're going to be talking about what's happening right now in the startup world, outside, in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, in US mainly because we're based in US and Canada. High is in Canada. Basically, we're gonna be reporting from the hotspot. And let's see, let me share the agenda real quick. So first of all, we're gonna cover a little bit of what's going on in the market. I know there's lots of anxiety, but not to worry, because then we're gonna break down what kind of opportunities exist for you with your background. Again, it's not gonna be only for technical folks. If you're not technical, there's plenty of opportunity for you too. Again, this is an amazing time to be learning specifically agents, because we are finally transitioning from Gen AI to agentic AI in 2025. And we are also going to be sharing the roadmap on what kind of skills you need so you can enter. If you're trying to get your first job, let's say in agent engineering or product engineering or AI engineering, then we're going to share the roadmap of what kind of skills that the companies are searching for right now. And to be honest with you, today we're not going to be covering anything that's related to enterprise. Today it's going to be purely startups from pre-seed to all the way to Series C, and because this is where all the money is, and we're going to be talking about this. Um, let's see how to, and then what else I was going to share. Yeah. Oh yeah, live coding session is going to be towards the end. So, with your permission, guys, I want to hear from you. With your permission, after I share everything that I said now, like after 60 minutes of packed information, I want to ask you for your permission to break down how we teach things at the bootcamp, because I think this is also going to help you to understand how to get those skills that are relevant, that are in demand right now. So let me know in the chat if you're excited about that too. But yeah, let's get started. Towards the end, it's going to be a Q&A session. So a little bit about me. I don't know if you guys know me. I mean, you probably know me because that's how you ended up in this session. But I'm originally from Kyrgyzstan. I don't know if you guys know the country, but it's a tiny country in freaking Central Asia. I used to be part of Soviet Union. I came to US 10 years ago as a student. I actually went to a business school and I got my business degree, which I really, really regretted it, because honestly it was really tough getting a job without zero technical skills. So what I did was just upskill, and I learned myself Python. I taught myself Python and I landed my first job. I think I have a few pictures here of my first job. I did some agrotech stuff. I don't know if I don't think I shared that a lot on LinkedIn, but this is what I used to do. Mainly computer vision and robotics. It was a startup in Palo Alto. It was an amazing time. But as life goes on, I wanted to transition to AI, because this is where, especially when Gen AI stuff started coming out, I realized I gotta capitalize on this stuff. And I started learning and sharing it publicly on LinkedIn. And that's how I got 130,000 people, just like yourself, trying to upskill. And that's what I do daily. I share stuff, what I learn on there. And I also build a Break Into Data community where I share more in-depth tutorials, workshops with the community. And right now we have 30,000 people, which is kind of insane. And I only started like a little bit of like a year ago, the Break Into Data community. So I'm really proud of how far we've come. And many of you probably know Break Into Data as well. So thank you guys for being part of it. And I also want to introduce you guys our instructor and my partner. Hi, partner in crime. He's in the backstage. He's like shouting right now. Yes, this is Hai. He is an amazing, one of the probably the most high energy people I know, the most extroverted and the most connected people I know. And people from the first boot camp will like agree, because he was like talking about this founder, that founder, and like and he, because he knows them, he advises all these startups, and because he has a background in full stack engineering, and now he's also an AI engineer, and he has close ties with LangChain founders, including Harrison Chase, because he was one of the biggest contributors, and he's a LangChain ambassador. So he's now working with How It Works. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's literally the link. I mean, just put it in your browser, and you will see what it does. It basically helps you understand any GitHub repo. So check it out. But yeah, Hai is going to be sharing a little bit about MCP towards the very end. So stay tuned, and we will continue. All right, everybody is tuned in. Everybody's here. I want to see the chat. Oh, Oren saying, you already met Mary, but Hai is also awesome. All right. I wonder who's better, Oren. I'm kidding. We don't do that. So, how's the job market doing? What do you guys think? Like, what's going on with the job market? Share it in the chat. Do you think do you think it's going to be stable? Do you think big tech is going to continue just like growing as it used to be? I'm curious, what do you guys think about the job market? I don't know, maybe some of, like, I know many people have been laid off recently. Maybe some of you or your friends have experienced that. I have no idea, but share in the chat, what are your sentiment about the job market? I'm really curious. Or maybe, or you just wait and... Okay, KD is saying horrible. Why do you say that, KD? Lots of layoffs. Lots of them. Yes, indeed. Job market is changing. That is true. Oh my god, Pedro. Are you like did you see my slides, or what's going on? Cuz guess what? Guess what I was going to say? I was gonna say just this. So I think you read my mind. It's very recent. This quote. The By the way, if you got, do you recognize this face? If you do, put it in the chat. Who do you think this is? You must know this person. But yeah, this person basically said, and this is a prominent figure in AI, and I'm waiting for someone to say his name. But anyway, he predicts that almost 50%, which is like half of all the entry level positions in white collar sectors, like we're talking lawyers, we're talking like admins, we're talking like customer support, everybody who's like on the computer, like 50% of people are just gonna be laid off. So this is kind of scary. Great job, Abby. Great job, Usman. Okay, there we go. Now we have people. I'm glad that you guys recognize the face, because I was gonna freak out a little bit there. This is Anthropic's CEO and co-founder. All the Claude models that you guys using, this guy made it. His team made it. So this is pretty bold, and it just came out a few days ago, and I couldn't help but put it on the slide because it just shows where we headed. And like just recently too, I was like browsing news about like layoffs too. This is insane what's happening with also Microsoft. It's few days only ago it's been announced that they're cutting thousands of jobs. And there's lots of other companies. Not only that, McKinsey is a huge company. They're also cutting 10% of their workforce, all because of AI automations. And what else we have here? IBM is also huge. And look at the days, like it's recent, it's few days ago. So whatever is happening right now, it's kind of crazy. And I don't want anyone to panic, because today we're actually talking about the things that will help you see a better future for yourself. So keep this in mind. But this is the reality. And I know people, I was gonna say, like, we knew AI would cause layoffs, right? Everybody's like, yeah, we were expecting this years ago, but guess what? Nobody knew that it was coming like now. like today, and all because of now we're moving from Gen AI, as I said, to agentic AI. Um, oh my God, hi, stop interrupting me. He's laughing, but he loves the emojis. Uh, okay, so why now? Why in 2025 all of a sudden we have this boom of agents in production, all the enterprise trying to adopt things, and all these layoffs are happening in 2025? Why is it now? Why is it not 2 years later? There are a few reasons to that. But before I get into that, I want to tell something, just something that happened recently, actually. So, me and Hai have been running this before, like the boot camp, and we haven't really seen each other in person. So, he visited San Francisco just a few weeks ago. We went to LangChain's conference, and I mentioned that in the email that I was sending to you guys. I hope you've seen that. I mentioned a bit how we talked with Harrison Chase and how we saw all of these startup founders and how they're implementing agents in production. And I was mind blown. I honestly thought that we, like the industry, when I say we, I mean the industry is still like trying to figure out, have their POCs, and they don't really have like users yet. But guess what? It's actually being used in production, and we're gonna show you some statistics. So everybody knows 2024 was all about experimentation, but this year is going to be production. And at one of the keynote sessions, Harrison Chase showed his. Can I move this thing? Oh, no, I can't. I wanted to show. Okay, anyway, he showed basically the observability tool of of their company. I mean, Langsmith, and it shows there that look at the dates. That's why I wanted to move my face. But he said that they're seeing crazy growth in adoption of agents and deployment of agents because you can see all the number of traces on their observability tool. And it just shows that more and more people are deploying things and there's more data around around agents. And not only that, but I don't know if you guys follow Y Combinator. Let me know in the chat if you guys follow them. This is like probably the best accelerator, startup accelerator in the world. Not probably, it is definitely the best. And what is interesting, I was searching for their data on like what kind of companies they're investing in, and of course, it's no surprise, but I think it's like what almost 90%, around 90% of their investments of their like cohorts of the startup teams that they're admitting is mainly AI companies. So, what does it tell you? And not only that, when you dig into like AI stuff, you will see that it's also mainly AI agents and co-pilots, which is insane. So, all the investment is going to startups that are deploying these vertical AI agents, also who are hiring for engineers who know how to deploy AI agents. So, there's huge demand happening for people who know how to work with agents. But guess what? There's not enough supply of talent. And that's why we are doing what we're doing with the boot camps, because we believe more people deserve to be in either like if you want to build your own startup, you can do that, or if you want to get a better job that will survive the layoffs at least for the next few years until we have AGI. Nobody knows what's going to happen then. But until then, you're basically building the future if you're joining these startups. So I also wanted to touch upon the open source. The open source activity has never been this crazy in the entire history of GitHub. So I just took a screenshot of the article made by Harrison Chase. Again, I love that article. Check it out. It's called Agent Frameworks Comparison, and he basically lays out all of the new frameworks that are popping right now. And this is probably one third of the agent frameworks that we have now. We, of course, many people just know like LangGraph, OpenAI Agent SDK, and like Crew AI, maybe Autogen, and probably Pydantic AI too. Those are like the most famous. But there are tons of dozens of other agent frameworks and abstractions that people are trying to contribute and build to the open source. So it's everywhere. It's the agents are everywhere. What does this mean to you? To us who are not there, who are not in San Francisco, or who are just starting out, what does this mean? It means we're literally in the best age. I mean, everybody talks about this, but I just want to reinforce this message that this is the best time to be getting into agent engineering and learning and making yourself more technical, because not only it is more in demand, as you can see, and the technology allows that, but also because there's so many amazing tools that can help you learn faster. And we're going to be talking about this. And I mean vibe coding. I mean, this is actually one third of, maybe half of our bootcamp is just vibe coding. Um, so this is a great time to start upskilling. But let's cover the basics first. I want to hear, guys. I am curious your definition. What are agents? How do you define them? I'm really curious to see this. Though the answer that I like, I'm gonna pop into the screen. So let me. It can be a technical definition. It can be any definition that you have. How do you understand AI agents in your own words? Don't try to use ChatGPT right now. Just try to like think and like share your thoughts about this. Let's see. This will be fun. Is it me or the chat is lagging? All right, Matthew. Things that do things. Okay, we can be a little bit more elaborate. Guys, I expect a little bit more effort. Okay, I guess I guess I have to define this. Oh, wait a second. We have VK. Anything that has agency, calls functions, has reasoning, and has autonomy, can call tools independently. Love this. Thank you. Amazing. Perfect. AI systems that can reason, perform tasks autonomously. Clarion. Amazing response. Padma is saying orchestration of multiple works. What do you mean by works? Brandon is saying agents can perceive a world and use tools to do things in that world. Okay. That's what's up. Let's see. Now I can see all of your. I think it was lagging a bit. Pedro saying it goes beyond RAG, chunking, and retrieval and programs rules, perhaps using RL to incorporate decision loops. Also very close. So you guys are good at this. So we mentioned autonomy, we mentioned decision making. You guys did a great job. So what business folks like to define it is simply that. Agents that are autonomous systems that can make decisions and take actions on behalf of users with minimal human intervention. Notice how it doesn't say zero human intervention, it says minimal. So this is a business definition. But what is the technical definition? And right now, everybody is pulling their own string, like trying to explain what agents are. But I like this specific diagram. It mostly when you're trying to explain agents, you explain it with the components that it has access to and the things that it can do. So with agents, as you can see from the little diagram here, it has memory. And if you're part of the free 14-day AI engineering course that we published, we talk everything about this. Do check it out. So agents is something that has access to tools, access to memory, short-term and long-term memory, and it can plan, reason, reflect, and make decisions on its own. And uh, Yes, let's see if we have more answers here. I love this. I love the chat, guys. Agents are tools that get data and make decisions in their environment. I don't know if I would call it tools, Abraham, but close enough. So, so I know this. Not many people talk about this, but when Hai and me were talking about how we can explain agents better as well, we found another way to define agents, and agents are basically, if you think about it, they really just are something that make decisions and take actions on the context. So, where does the context come from? And based on this question, you can define agents better. So this is three type of context that we found was one of the most popular these days, which is API agents, which I think is the most popular because agents you can allow agents to have access to all these APIs on the web, like your calendar, your Google Workspace, like Notion API, Stocks, Weather API, all these APIs that your agent can have access to, and as well as two of these browser agents. They call them web browser. It's when the agents has access to your browser and can make actions there. You can automate things, and I think this is also very exciting. And OpenAI and Anthropic already have their versions of this, and computer as well. So if the agent has access to your terminal and has access to all the files, it can also perform all the actions that you want it to do, which is exciting, honestly. I think when in 2023, when Gen AI just came out, ChatGPT just came out, I remember just a bunch of researchers, they're still exploring these ideas of like how we can make agents run on the browser, how we can run it on the computer. And back then for me, it was like, oh, I think it's a little bit too far. But I can't believe we're already here. It's been only 2 years. So, okay, I gotta move this thing. Move my face. Okay, I think that's better. So, all right, everybody, it seems like everybody and their mother is trying to build agents. And some people might think that everything has already been figured out. But honestly, we're still at the very beginning of the history of agents. If you think about how long it took us to, I don't know, adopt to internet or social media, it took us decades, 7 to 15 years to fully like have a more or less mature market and stable like frameworks and infrastructure for all these technologies. But with agents, we're still very much new. So here are just few of the challenges that we have now. There are tons of many other challenges, but these stood out the most. So number one is like tool integration. And by tool integration, I mean external APIs. It's really like the reason why MCP, and Hai is going to talk about MCPs today too, is was created by Anthropic team was because it was hard to manage all of these external APIs because APIs are like need support. They constantly change, and they are also unreliable for just agents to make decisions with. So they should also handle like authentication, rate limits, errors, and inconsistent data across all tools and not just tools. We're going to talk more about other stuff later. But the other challenge, and I think this is like probably the main challenge that engineers are facing right now, is how do you construct context for agents at any given point? And this is probably one of the most exciting challenges out there, as well as managing the state. And number three, I think many founders and many thought leaders also talk about how evals. If you know how to build evals, then you're truly one of a kind because not that many engineers even know how to create custom evals. And most of the time, you really need subject matter experts to help you create these evals. And this is where your unique skill set come in handy. And this is again, I know Roger, you're asking about like other challenges. There are lots of other challenges we're not covering today, but I just want you to know that we're still in the very early stages of building agents, and I don't want you to rely on one specific framework when trying to understand how agents work. So that's why we are building the program, the bootcamp, and also the free resources that we have, just to help you understand it conceptually first, so you can be an independent thinker, so you can be a problem solver first instead of a tool user. So keep that in mind. Uh, and the reason why I brought up challenges is because challenges equal to opportunities. If there are many problems to solve, there are probably engineers that are needed out there. And let's talk about opportunities a little bit. So for engineering roles, I listed two types of roles, and let me know if, in the chat, like let me know if you're either working as one of these roles or you want to get into one of these roles. I'm curious if you even like considered these, because these are super new. So with like few I think LinkedIn creators also talk about product engineering. It's one of the hottest new roles that requires not only engineering skills but also product sense. And by product sense, I mean how can you build a product that is delightful, that is that where you can hook the user, and basically you become like a both product product owner and engineer. So because because of the evolution of technology, we do not need like separate roles right now. We can be many things in one. So product engineering is really exciting. So Potterhead Sono is saying, I'm interested in becoming AI product manager. By the way, this is also very hot role right now. If you're especially technical, then AI product manager is a great way to, and if you like working with people, if you like managing teams, then this is great. Managing product. Let's see. Uh, I want to get into agent engineering. Awesome. I love to see that. Sure. What, Padma? Why do you say short term? What's your long term? It's interesting. Bene, this is cool. It's so cool that you want to be a solutions engineer. We actually had one of our bootcamp graduates who landed their role as a solutions engineer after graduating the bootcamp, which is super cool to see. Because if have like sales skills, you know how to talk, and you also understand tech, then solutions engineering is also a great fit for you. I also want to talk about developer advocate. These days, like you don't really have to be always coding. You know how many startups, how many companies are trying to hire developer advocates or developer relations people just to get the word out about their product. And I think this is a great intersection as well if you're considering not only engineering roles. Let's see. Full stack AI. Love this. Love this. So, what is AI context engineer? This is a great question. It's actually one of the like I saw it on one of the job boards, and I think this is what prompt engineering should be for the agent engineering era. AI context engineering is basically trying to create context for your agents from different sources, different data sets, databases, and sessions across the sessions. So remember how I told you constructing context for agents is one of the biggest challenges, and people are hiring specifically for that. So we're going to see a lot more interesting roles coming up with agent engineering. uh all right. It looks like you guys are in the right place today. Everybody wants to be somewhat related to AI engineering, and I love that there's not only engineering folks but also others. Emily is saying, I'm currently a designer looking to become more of an engineer or something that is more technical. AI product manager sounds interesting. Amazing. You know what I love to see? I love to see non technical people being inspired, being empowered, and understanding that there's lots of opportunities for them stepping into this new technology. So Congratulations, Emily, for doing that. I think you're on the right path. Just keep learning. We had many non-technical folks transition and become more technical and landing their first opportunities that way. So it's totally possible, especially right now. uh Marcel, you're funny. You're a funny guy. I have no idea what AI product manager really means, but I like how it sounds. uh, it's cool that you guys. There's many AI product managers. All right. So these are just the few roles that exist now. There's so many different like naming conventions. So I always encourage people to read the description. Don't only rely on the freaking naming, because every company, every hiring manager has their own imagination. So always read the description. Um, so let's talk about the roadmap. I asked you what you guys want to be when you grow up, and you told me a bunch of things. But here's the reality. So if you do not have a technical background, and I think some of you here mentioned that it's hard to break into tech stuff if you have no technical background. And I agree with you. It's tough because we might think, okay, cursors out there. All these models are trying to help you understand software engineering, and it's great, it's amazing, but it's not enough, and it never will be enough, because at the end of the day, models are there to serve you, to serve your own understanding of the world, your own understanding of the fundamentals. So if you don't have fundamentals, it's going to be really hard to even use tools like Cursor. And that's why in the bootcamp, we, again, remember how I told you we do these vibe coding sessions daily? This is just to show you how to use them if you knew the fundamentals of full stack software engineering. And if you were to learn this on your own, this would probably take you at least 6 months of just grinding and making mistakes and watching random YouTube videos here and there, asking, trying to scrape things together. And just like some people just get discouraged and don't ever finish, especially maybe neurospicy people like me. I always need like mentors or just like support, to stick through the new learning curve that I'm going through. So number one is the fundamentals of software engineering, full stack software engineering, and that goes into like system design and how do you like create the architecture of your application and so on and so forth. And number two is, I know how like at least with the my following on LinkedIn, I have lots of people who are just using Python, and there's nothing wrong with Python, but real world AI is written in TypeScript, guys. I hope you guys know this. Let me know if this is news to you. If Yeah, like if you do, you guys know TypeScript, or you guys like building stuff in Python only? Because if you know TypeScript, let me tell you this: if you know TypeScript, you're gonna unlock so many doors. Because I mean, again, it's not demos anymore, right? It's in full stack engineering, and full stack engineering is mostly written in TypeScript and frameworks like Next.js, in Node.js, and with Python is Fast API. So you have to know object-oriented programming pretty well in order to break into these engineering roles in AI. And again, this is, if you're in research, don't come at me. I know like there's lots of like machine learning engineers who would be like, no, I gotta like no TypeScript for me. This is not for ML people or research people. This is purely for applied AI engineers, applied AI full stack engineers, and this is what we're talking about today. Yes, Suraj, the TypeScript. Yes, I'm glad we're sharing this today, because not that many people know this thing. If you know TypeScript and if you have like data background, if you have some and full stack like portfolio, then you're definitely going to stand out in the sea of applicants. Um, and number three is know how to work with AI coding assistants. This is like literally every job post has this requirement. And it's usually Cursor, Windsurf, or anything like that. So you have to know how to work with that. Not only work with that, but also have projects that you can show that you built with those tools. And talking about projects, you have to deploy them. So I've seen many resumes from people in our community where it's just a GitHub repo or just like even a Jupyter notebook. I'm like, guys, please, no notebooks. We need to have deployed projects, please. And all of this stuff will take you in total, I would say 12 months at least. If you are doing this on your own, if you're grinding, if you like to be solo soldier, then oh my god, I wrote months. It's months. Months. It's going to take a year. So, this is like a very optimistic roadmap actually. And many of, like, I know you guys said AI product managers. If you understand these things as a product manager, you you're not only going to be a product manager, you might as well launch your own startup at that point. And this again will give you another, how do I say, um, advantage over other applicants if you're trying to apply to yeah, product manager roles, solution engineer roles. If you know this stuff and if you have projects like these, this is definitely going to blow hiring managers' minds. So screenshot this roadmap and start working towards it. Or 12 moths. Yeah. Or, so we when I was stepping into this, like, I did not know TypeScript either. And I'm still learning, guys. I'm still learning. Thank God we have Hi. He's a full stack engineer, and I'm learning every day from him. So, despite all of this, like the time that I mentioned here, like all of these months of grinding and experience, I knew it was going to be worth it, because once you nail these things, you're going to open up the sea of opportunities. You can build things that you could never imagine before. And I think this is the time when you have to be that builder, fearless builder that doesn't depend on one tool or one programming language, that knows fundamentals, that can just build, ship, break things fast, and build again. And that's the whole philosophy of our bootcamp. And that's what we do on our vibe coding sessions. You will pretty much see how Hi builds like applications from scratch and shows you the fundamentals and how to learn them as you build. And remember, these high growth startups, they're scaling to like 1 to 10 million to even more in like within a span of a year. In their first year of business, they need all of these engineers. They need technical people like yourself who can build full stack applications and deliver. And this is not going away. This is very much new. And that's why I'm telling you things are moving away from Python to TypeScript, because this is where applied AI lives. If you just go right now, go to the LinkedIn or Hacker News job board. By the way, we're going to do that today with our agent. But if you go and see that, you will learn that TypeScript is there, and all these full stack tech stacks are there too. Uh, okay, so before we get into the project, I want to talk about, this is the time I want to share with people who were planning to join us, because I just wanted to give you a heads up. For today's webinar, we only have 20 seats left, and I want you to let's see. I think we're gonna time this as well, but that's like telling all the roadmap to you. And also based on our experience, we had to create this program based not on like the theory that everybody shares online, like how RAG works, agent works. Nobody cares how it works. Everybody cares what you can do with it. So this is why we wanted to make sure this is the most hands-on AI engineering program out there. We're not going to be wasting time talking about things. You're going to be showing up every day with your laptop, watching the screen of a senior engineer, and just following and building as you go. Every day you have to build something. And that way you don't have to go through the process alone, because people with like ADHD like me, it's really hard to focus on your own and deliver things. So that's why we created this like 5 days a week live coding session. So we meet like at 10 a.m. Pacific time for a live coding session. And on top of that, in the evenings, we also have every Monday a lecture day where we introduce the topic of the week so that you can get like understand a higher level concept. And by the way, if you're doing this on your own, this is also a good practice for you to start doing the same thing. Shipping every day, but also understanding the concepts briefly. And every Wednesday, there's a Q&A where you can get unblocked, just like in real life in the real engineering team. You do like these daily stand-ups, but instead of daily, we do weekly. And you share your progress, share your problems, and we'll get you unblocked. And every Friday, which is my most favorite day, you have to show what you build. And I really enjoy seeing the progress every week. You can just see how people are building on top of things. And we will show you how to build things in slices. And slices is just a term we use on how to deliver things piece by piece with both front end and back end stacked together. And that way you can feel proud of yourself at the end of every day and every week. Let me see if you have any questions. Do you think leak codes? Uh, Questions. How many hours a day in the boot camp? So, these are vibe coding sessions are anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on the bugs that we're working through. So you will learn a lot. But on Mondays, it's an hour and a half when we introduce a topic. And Wednesday is also an hour, and Friday is also an hour where people are recording their demos and sharing their screen and how their apps work. Uh, and yes, we do have certificates if you only submit your capstone. Let's see. So we're not on Discord. I used to have a Discord. We have our own platform called Circle, and this is where you're going to have access to all of the events, to all of the sessions, to all of the resources, materials, all the code in there. It's going to be constantly updated. And I think the most important thing that people don't realize is you can get all the information yourself, but it's all about access to people who have experience, who can answer you questions like this, who can navigate you and help you build better things, or even like tell you maybe you shouldn't build that thing, maybe you shouldn't waste your time doing that. So this is why we have this program that is very unique. And we also share our resources and projects in the bootcamp. Uh, Keep in mind that all of the live recordings are going to be accessed for a lifetime. So, oh, let me move this. A little bit about our graduates. I just want to share how like proud I am of people who have graduated. And let me move it here. So remember how I said Kelsey, she landed a job just a week after graduating? I think that was our last demo, and she was like, guys, she was sharing with everybody, and I wish I could share it with you here, but she was like, I showed them the project that I built, and they were very impressed with what I could do. And I think that's what people don't understand most of the time. It's not about your resume, it's not about your certificates or courses, it's really about the projects that you can build and show. And Kelsey was able to do it, and I'm so proud. We're so proud of Kelsey for doing that. And another student got also a job recently after graduating. And not only a job, like there are people that started whole new startups and businesses, because once you have these like agents are now new SaaS, right? SaaS, software as a service. If you have like your own agents that serve a particular market, then you can literally build and sell your applications, just like Autumn did. She built Caterly AI, which is an outreach for like catering managers, and she has users now, and she that are very excited about the product. So I think you shouldn't underestimate the opportunities that exist here. Uh, let's see. And we are going to start the project with hi. Hi, I hope you're here. This is just the our weeks. If you're interested to learn more about the curriculum, go to our website. I will share at the end. Uh, let's see. Let me answer. How much is it? So the boot camp, let me just share it right now. So if you're, move this thing. So this is how it is now. This is the start date is in June 12th, and the price is 2,100 without the webinar attendee discount. So stay tuned for that. But this will include pretty much everything, as you see from here. It's the 18 live sessions, 30 vibe coding sessions, and lifetime access to all the materials, Q&A sessions, and access to our network of founders who are hiring. So if you stand out, if you really show up, if you really deliver the projects, then we recommend people to our network because they're constantly hiring. I have access to all the startup founders, so does Hi. And if you show up every day, then this would be a perfect opportunity for you. um, okay, what if I can't attend some live classes? How can I catch up? uh, so it's going to be all recorded every day. It's going to be updated right after the live coding sessions. It's going to be updated to our platform, and you can watch it. As long as you make your progress by Friday, you'll get a lot of value from this. So only for the webinar attendees, screenshot this because this is going to expire in 1 hour. We only have 20 spots left, and the second tier of the promo code that we have now is $300 off. And this is going to expire because we are filling up, and the price is going to get to either full, or I think it's like a tier 3 that is going to be $200 off after this. But this will be only for you because you've attended the webinar. And if you are here and if you think that you can do this, then I think this would be a great program. All right, so I'm going to be answering questions. Screenshot this because we're going to transition to the project now, and I want to give you time to book. For those who wanted to book the bootcamp, do it now. But we're gonna continue with the project, and I'm really excited to introduce you to Hi. Uh, the questions, though, these are great questions. Let me just like guys, save the. I wonder if I should respond to the questions now. Let me get a few questions. Hi, I hope you don't mind, and then we can get to the project. Okay. Uh, okay. So, how is the bootcamp different from the AI engineering bootcamp back in March? Great question. It's different because we have updated. Oh my god, I feel like Hi should be talking about this too. Should I bring you on here, Hi? Let me bring you on because you seem wired right now. All right, let me just. What's up, Hi? Can you?
Hey Mary, hey everybody. My name is Hi, and I'm one of the instructors for the bootcamp. What is the question?
How is the bootcamp different from AI engineering bootcamp from March?
Yeah, so so we've noticed that for the past couple months, like 6 months or so, the world has transitioned from mostly like prompt chaining, prompt engineering, to now like more complex orchestrations of agents, and there's more emphasis on like deployments and things in productions. So we both came back from the Interrupt conference from LangChain, and the entire theme was basically that hey, there are companies like LinkedIn, BlackRock that have agents in production, and the agent engineering stack is now not just prompt chaining anymore. It's now calling tools, interacting with like third-party APIs, reasoning module separate from like the tool calling, and like general overall like just a more full stack engineering stuff. And we learned that from the last bootcamp as well. So keep in mind, the last one we did was V0, so version 0. This one is version 1. This is like we took the best things that we learned from the last bootcamp, and then all the new stuff that we believe will set 2025 on course, which is basically agent engineering. Like Greg Brockman from OpenAI also said that, and we combined that together so that this is like the de facto agent engineering bootcamp that you'll ever see out there, because we're boots on the ground, going to different conferences, talking to different companies. I do consulting with a bunch of companies as well. And in a couple of weeks, I'll be going to New York City for Vercel, because we're using AI SDK and TypeScript a lot here in our bootcamp. So we're like pretty up to date with stuff. That's the justification for changing the name from AI engineering to now agent engineering.
So people are asking where can you find the full description. So I put another QR code and the link in the chat. This is our landing page. You can find all the curriculum and the details over there. Yeah, just scan the other one. So let's see. Usman is asking, how are you different from AWS AI and ML scholars? Do you have any thoughts on that? Oh, let me share this.
AWS AI. What is that?
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Is that like a traditional arm from AWS, or?
I actually don't know, Usman. Yeah, share if you, because we
Oh,
never heard of
here. I found the link. So it's AWS AI and ML scholars. Get ready for a career in AI with courses featuring. So I think I saw this when they launched it. I don't think it's live. I think it's almost like a Salesforce Trailhead thing where you like learn from notebooks and videos, if I'm not mistaken.
it. Okay.
So we're live like every day, mostly me. I'll be coding in front of you and taking questions and stuff like that. Basically, be a streamer for the duration of the bootcamp.
Yeah, Dinesh is asking, if I'm a beginner, can I do this bootcamp?
How beginner are you? So we're talking like never touched a keyboard, or well, I'm just gonna assume that you're interested in this because you have maybe built something in Python before. Yeah, so this is a great time to be building these things, because not to mention like the socioeconomic trends that are happening with like job loss and stuff like that, but also like everything has been abstracted enough so that you don't need to know everything under the hood to start using these tools and have results right away. For example, like back in 2017, if you want to do something in deep learning, ML, you kind of have to go through some pretty heavy, calculus and, stuff to learn about like, gradient descent, stuff like that. But now the world is more interested in apply AI at the moment. So you have all these tools like LangGraph, LangChain, Agents SDK from OpenAI, even like no code, low code tools like N8N or Gumloot and stuff like that. So a lot of it is abstracted at the moment, and that's the same for like every piece of technology in the world, right? Like in the beginning, you have like computer language, and then you have C, C++, and then it was very low level, but then the world just trends toward higher level, more abstracted. So by the end, we have like Python, and we have like these languages that are more accessible to other people. So the trend is it's going to be more accessible, and at this moment, it's the most accessible it's ever been to get into the field. So as a beginner, I think it'll be a great time to get the feet wet and dive in, because if you already know Python, a little bit of Python, I'm going to show you this project real quick, because it takes like 10 lines of code to like create an agent that can do something and then like interact with a MCP server hosted elsewhere as well. So you'll see that in a bit.
Yeah. Is there any payment plan? So we do not have a payment plan now, but if you reach out to me at info@breakintodata, let me share we're gonna set up case by case payment plan for like 2 payments only. And this is if you're an international, this is the only thing that we can do, international student. So shoot an email here if you want a payment plan like that, and we can help you out. Do you have evening batches Preacher is asking. So we have so the reason why we have like daily live coding sessions at 10 a.m. is so that we can cover all the people in this sphere of the world, like North America. And for people who are in Europe and Asia, you can join our evening like Q&A sessions and demo days and our Monday sessions. And keep in mind that those everything will be recorded, but you have to watch them almost like every day, like as they get uploaded, so you can keep being on track. But we had, I think, last time probably half the students who were just live watching and the others who were doing it self-paced. So, and both of them had amazing results. Uh, how many hours a day would you expect to spend on the boot camp? Like, can we do this while working on our regular job?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had students who did that. I know Tamil was doing that, I think, and a few other people. I think it's just a matter of if you let's say let's just assume we're all like I don't know late 20s, early 30s. By now, you probably have figured out what time of the day you work best, and then you can segment your day out. Before that, I can't say anything because when I was in my early 20s, I did not have a good schedule. But around like 27, I figured it out, and I'm like, okay, if I let's say wanted to do an extra thing, it'll be like at the end of my job, and then I had to take some time off during the day, and then around 7 p.m. I turn on my computer and do something else again. Um, yeah, a bunch of people did it. I don't think it's impossible, but it's definitely more than just doing your job. So depending on how high agency you are, I don't know what else to say. But yeah,
Well,
if
how
you
many
want tips, we can give you some.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of how many hours a day, I would say if you dedicate at least 1 to 2 hours a day, you're going to get a lot out of it. As long as you're consistent with it, if you can just show up and do something here and there every day, then you're going to see lots of progress. But it will definitely be hard if you just like miss like entire week and want to do it on a weekend, then that will be hard. That's the only thing that I want to say.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. So who is ready for the project? Let's go. And we're going to be building with OpenAI Agent SDK and MCP. Hi, what are we going to be building?
Yeah, thank you, Mary. So now what we're gonna be doing is I'm gonna show you this little demo that I made a couple days ago for this webinar. And the point of this is to not for you to code along. I think we realize that pretty early on. What I want to do is I want to show you overall what it feels like to build like an agent. And you must have heard of MCP by now, so I'm going to show you what MCP means, not in the abstract sense of like what you would read from like an article, but like how does it fit into like an application that has an agent in it. So I'm ready to go if you guys are ready to go.
Yep.
Okay, let me just share my screen here, and then let me know if you guys can see my screen. I'm just gonna watch chat. I think I can see my screen now, but I don't know if everyone else can see it. Can you guys see my screen? Yes, yes. Okay, thank God. All right. So what I like to do is I like to show up unprepared, and Mary hates this, but it's just part of who I am. And she's not talking anymore. It's my time now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys very broadly what this application is going to be about. So this is all this does is it's an agent that looks at a job board. How do you spell job board? Like this? No. Job board and find the right job for you based on your preference. Yeah, that's how you spell it. Okay, so that is the responsibility of the agent. How are we going to build this out? So I picked this tech stack like this. So I chose Python, even though for the most of the stuff that I built in production right now for my application, It's called How It Works. It's actually built entirely in Vercel and TypeScript, and this is my favorite way to do it. But I chose Python because OpenAI right now, their Agents SDK is like kind of nice, but it's only in Python right now. And if you're familiar with Python, this is a great way to like familiarize yourself with what agents are. So I chose Python. I'm going to be using UV. So UV is like the package manager. So not, requirements.txt. I know a lot of you guys are data science, coming from data science background. You might be using requirements.txt or, poetry, stuff like that. Poetry is nice, but, we want to move towards building applications. So we're going to stay away from like the requirements.txt stuff. And we're going to use UV. UV is great. UV is, I think it's recommended now by a lot of the sample repos from these AI labs. It basically gives you like the developer experience of like using PNPM or NPM, which if you come from the full stack application web development side of things, it's way nicer than Python. But with UV, you can have some of that. And I chose OpenAI Agents SDK, which I just mentioned. And I also chose this tool called Firecrawl, which is a web scraping tool. So this is like the easiest way to do web scraping. And we're both friends with like the people at Firecrawl. So I've been using this for many projects and my own product for a while, and I like it a lot. So that's what we're looking at in terms of tech stack. Tech. And now we're going to do is I'm going to show you the app, I guess, or the script. I should call it the script. So I'm just going to type out UV. So I'm in the project right now, and this project will be available on GitHub. You guys can just clone it and then play around with it. But this is what it looks like. It's got like, a virtual environment as always. Got some project dependencies declared here. It's got a README. You can read this and set it up. And then I'm going to run this file right here. So I'm going to type in UV run main.py because that's how you do it in UV. And this is what it is. It's a job finder agent. And I spent a lot of time making this command line interface pretty for you guys. That's most of my engineering hours went into, just making this look pretty, because it's how it's really easy to build the agents part. So please describe what kind of job you're looking for. So what we're doing is we're targeting this page right here. This page is the job post page from this website called Hacker News. It's very popular amongst developers. So in the chat, just kind of give me, a sentence of like, what kind of job you're looking for, so I can throw that into my agent and, kickstart this demo. Yeah. So just tell me in the chat what kind of job you're looking for. I'm just going to wait like 10 seconds. And then if chat's too slow, I'm just going to say something myself. Yeah, not seeing any. Maybe somebody said something in chat, but it's like takes forever to stream over here for whatever reason. So what I'm going to do is going to say something here. So let's say I want to look for a, oh, there you go. Somebody said Rogers. Thank you, Rogers. So Abba also said AI engineer. Rogers said full stack AI engineer. So I'm just going to say I'm looking for a full stack AI engineer role. Yeah, that stuff. Okay, so I typed that in. It's going to kick off some reasoning, and then it went to this page, and then it found, one role that is, very similar to what we're looking for. And then now we see the details of that role being streamed back to our CLI. And then, okay. So that was pretty quick. And let me just walk you through what happened before I show you how the application actually works. So first, as you can see, we said that, um, describe the job that you're looking for. So we type in a description. We want a full stack AI engineer role, and then it kicked off like this process, which is pretty cool. And then it found one job from the list of jobs that we were just looking at here. So it's found founding AI engineer at Diligent. So let me just copy this, take a look at here, see if it actually hallucinate. No, so it's right here. It's number 7. So it actually went to this website and scraped it. That's what I'm trying to say. So it found one position that fits our preference. And then as we can see here, it says this role aligns with blah, 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 blah. And then it also has the link to the actual job. Because when you see a job like this, you have to, as a human, you have to click on it. And then now you go to the actual page to see like, the money and like, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. But that information is not super visible on this page alone. So what it does next is it actually trying to find, so it found the URL for the actual job, and then it hit that URL, and then it scraped that, and now it found us the information about the actual job. And if you are wondering why the logging is a little bit weird, that's because I probably messed up the logging, but this is the information from like the second tool call, not the first tool call. Yeah, for the first tool call, it's mostly just like, oh, I found this one URL, and then the second tool call would be, okay, I'm gonna hit that URL and then get the actual information. So that makes sense. Now let's take a look at what actually goes inside the code. So when you go in here, this project is called Agent MCP. You open it up and you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Just make sure you go to the README, and then it'll tell you kind of like what's what, and then what to set up, API key, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. But the main file is the main file. You go in here, and I'm just going to walk you through it step by step. Actually, I'm going to walk you through that on the diagram. Okay, so we got the job page. So that's the Hacker News job site. And then it's basically this. I'm just going to take a screenshot of this, bring it over. Okay, just so that we can visualize it easier. We got the job site here. And then what we're going to do is we want to pass that to our agent. This is our agent. So we're going to pass this into the context of our agent. And then in our agent, there's actually a couple more things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe create another box right here. So here we have tools. So I hope by now, in 2023, somebody says, taking into account those jobs are pretty new, how do people get 3 years of experience? Well, if you start in 2022, if you were playing around with GPT-2 or GPT-3, I guess you could have that. Or if you start in 2023, then I guess you can have 2.5. Yeah, but 3 is like, if you start, I guess, even 6 months ago, I guess you still have to justify that, but I digress. So by now, I hope you understand that, for agents to exist, it's just an LM call that, you say you have access to these tools and then use them at the right time. Tools could be anything from like looking up like the weather forecast and stuff like that, or basically any function you can write in your code. So the tool that we gave it here is actually the fun part is we didn't actually give it any tools because our MCP server gave it all the tools. And I'm going to show you what the MCP server is in a minute. And this is Firecrawl, hosted by them. So just to make it clearer. And then in our tools, ideally we wanted to know tool to scrape a website. Yeah, so ideally we want it to exist, a tool that can help us scrape the website. And the beauty thing about MCP servers is that, well, if you go to like MCP kind of like introduction to MCP, for example, it's like usually you say like the USB-C of applications. So as you can see here, MCP is an open protocol that standardizes how application provides context to LMs. Think of MCP as a USB-C port for applications. How I like to think about MCP servers is that it's a way for you to not have to code stuff like this. So let's say you have a third-party service that does web crawling for you or web scraping for you. Before MCP, usually you have to like go to the website, read the documentation, build each tool out individually, integrate with them with like an API key or whatever, and then present that to the agent, which belongs to you. But now what you can do is you can just let your agent kind of like skip the building tool part and then just hit directly the MCP server that was created by the service provider. So in this case, I technically just kind of like did this. And then once the agent hits the MCP server, it first sends a thing that we call discover. And then it finds out that, oh, there's a web scraping tool on the server. I'm just going to use that. So that's how MCP servers work. Isn't that much easier to understand than like whatever the hell this is? I think MCP is like a USB-C port for AI applications. Yeah, so MCP server can host all kinds of stuff. It can host tools, more prompts, back and forth agent interaction, which we'll talk about later because that's a little bit advanced. Anyways, we pass this Hacker News job site to our agent. So agent is basically just a prompt, running a loop type stuff. And then from there, the agent will have to figure out when to use the tool from the MCP server. And then this is the architecture, but this is how the flow works. So one, user pass in preferences. And then two is agent take preference, use tool found from MCP server, go to job site and scrape the root site. What I mean by the root site is like this site right here, not like any of these links, like this news.ycombinator.com/jobs. And so that's step two. Step three is agent reflects. What I mean by reflects is we're just passing everything that's happened here back into the LM. And I want to add here our LM model is GPT-4o from OpenAI. This is a pretty capable model. So agent reflects decides to pick the right tool, pick the right job, keep the URL of that job, and then run another script to go into that site to get the final full job description. That's pretty much it. 3 steps. So it goes like this, from here to here, and then from here to here. Okay, I'm gonna wait 10 seconds to see if anybody has any questions. If you do have questions, just say it. I'll just keep talking, but because the stream is kind of laggy, we'll glance at the chat, and then if you have questions, I'll just stop and answer it. Okay, so when you go to the code base, go to the main.py file, and then as you can see here, what we're doing is we're setting up the OpenAI API key. So you got to set this up, register with OpenAI. Yeah.
Did you share the link to the GitHub? I think people are asking.
We'll share it later. Yeah, just look at what I'm doing. You will have it. Don't worry about it. Unless you have to go somewhere, then we'll check your email after, I guess. Yeah, so you gotta create an OpenAI API key, which you can do when you sign up for OpenAI API platform. And then you set that as your environment variable. And then you pull that in, stuff like that. Um, and then this is just for like logging. So I have a separate class to do logging. What I mean by logging is that there's a lot of stuff that OpenAI Agents SDK allows you to do to see the steps between each run. You don't have to worry about any of that. But if you're interested, just toggle this true false, and then you'll see what I mean. Anyways, this is the actual main function. This will run at the end here when we run the main.py file. So here we just have some logging. It says like welcome. When you say welcome, it's basically this right here, this nice CLI that is obviously inspired by OpenAI's Codex and Cloud Code. And then we have a prompt here. So we'll say no, this is just like a CLI thing. Don't worry about it. But we take the user's input, which is this right here. I'm looking for a full stack AI engineer role. And then we'll take that, and then before we pass it in anywhere, we instantiate our MCP server, and then we create an instance of our agent, which is this right here. And then we pass in our user input into the function called find job from the agent. That's pretty much all there is to the main function. So basically ask the user for an input, instantiate the MCP server, and then instantiate the agent, and then run the agent. So let's go inside this agent and see what it looks like. And I'm going to show you the MCP server real quick. It's very short. So this is the agent class. To create an agent using OpenAI Agent SDK, all you have to do is import the agent from agents, and then you give it a name. So we call it Job Finder Assistant. And then the instructions is basically, what do you want it to do? So we say you are a helpful job finding assistant. You will ask and then use the Firecrawl scrape tool. And I kind of cheated here a little bit because I told it what is available from the MCP server. And a lot of times you don't have to do that. But, this is the website that we're scraping from, which is basically this side right here. And then, it basically does what we managed to say here. So like, go to the site, scrape, reflect, and then scrape again. This is just prompting. And then we declare our model, which is GPT-4o from OpenAI, and then the MCP server. So if you were to code your own tools here, what you have to do is you just have to say tools, and then you have a list of tools here. And then I guess there are two ways to do it. But the beauty about MCP servers is that the third-party service has already declared all the tools for you. You don't have to build these integrations yourself. Okay, so let's look at the find job function. This is what actually kickstart the entire flow. So we have a prompt that says the user is looking for, and then we pass in the user's input, which came from, this right here, the user CLI input. And then we pass into the prompt, and then and then we're gonna say runner.runStreamed. So runner is just another class from the agent's kind of library from OpenAI to actually start the agent loop. And then we use runStreamed because we want to stream the tokens to our CLI. As you can see, like it streamed like token by token or word by word to our CLI, which is faster, nicer looking. And then we pass in the agent instance, which is this right here. And then we pass in the prompt. And then turns here is really interesting. So if you say like turn is 1, that means you run the LM call once. So it doesn't make it an agent. If you crank it to 2, then that means whatever happened in the first turn the results gets passed into the second turn. It runs the entire thing, like the entire agent again with the history. And then now it becomes like a sentient being. But like this max turns thing, like this concept is very common for like, even AI SDK, max turn also have a thing. Anyway, I digress, but there's a turn thing here. Max turn, something like that, but it's in there. So that's all it does. We run find job, we run the agent. And then now let's take a look back at our main.py here. And then we can say MCP server. Okay, so create server here. So this is all it needs, all we need to consume information from an MCP server. In terms of FileCrawl, all we had to do was we had to set up this URL, and then we pass in our API key for the FileCrawl account that I have. And then we use this method here from the agents library. So it's just agents.mcp, and then we use this, and it says here MCP server implementation that uses the HTTP with SSE transport. That stands for server send events. The cool thing about MCP is that recently the team that maintain it put out a bunch of updates a couple months ago so that people can implement OAuth, which is for authentication. They also implemented server send events and streaming HTTP, so that for the first time, and this is what most people get wrong, for the first time you can now host an MCP server and have it communicate with a third-party service through like server send events or HTTP request. Before, everything that you want to run with MCP servers, you have to run it on your own infra, and then it gets complicated if you want it to communicate with a third-party service. So that's why most people run MCP servers locally. So they would have a server running and they would hook it up to like Claude Chat or like Cursor. But now, for the first time, we have hosted MCP servers that can securely communicate with any application, whether that's Cursor or MyScript or anything. So we created the MCP server here. When I say create, I mean create an MCP server client. So this is a client that interacts with that server, which is somewhere in FileCrawl's infra. Yeah, so that's the beauty thing about MCP servers. I don't need to know how to code out the stuff that actually does web scraping behind the scenes. I just pass in my MCP server's client here. It's gets a little bit convoluted, but this is just my client to interact with FileCrawl's MCP server. It's like technically not the server itself that I declare here. I'm just setting up a client, just so you know. And that's it. That's pretty much the entire thing. You go in here, main is the main thing, agent is the agent thing, MCP config is MCP thing. This is what makes the CLI look nice. If you want to waste your time like I did, feel free to look in here, but I suggest you don't. Let's see. Now I'm going to answer questions. Okay, let me stop sharing real quick. Bring back this thing right here. Okay, so questions. Are these compute intents? No. I'm running models off of someone else's infrastructure, in this case, OpenAI. So I'm just making HTTP request. And excuse me for my heavy breathing because I have seasonal allergies. On one of my YouTube videos, people keep saying like, this video is great, but we can hear your entire mouth in it. I'm like, that's the cost of consuming good content, I suppose. Okay, so from the entire statement, how is it taking which keyword to search for? Great question, great question. So we typed in, I want a AI engineer, full stack AI engineer role, right? So the way it works is it actually doesn't search for anything. That's the key. It doesn't search for anything. We basically told the agent that, hey, no matter what happens, just go to Hacker News jobs and scrape it. When you scrape that site, you get like markdown back, basically like pure text. And here, let me see if I can fire up this FileCrawl visualizer so I can show you what it looks like when you crawl something like that. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again here. Entire screen. Okay, so if you can see my screen, that'll be great. Okay, so I think people can see my screen. I'm not sure, but I think people do. So this is FileCrawl. I'm just gonna paste in the job page that we just had. Hit enter, and then okay. So now we're in the scraping screen from FileCrawl. This is like just a user interface for you to see. So you went here, and then the content that we get back is in Markdown. It looks like this. So it's like, pretty dense. But each of this is a job posting. And when we pass the entire thing here, to an LLM, and then we say, okay, you know what I'm just gonna do? I'm just gonna copy the entire thing, and then I'm gonna go back here. I'm just gonna simulate what it looks like to work with an LLM. So I'm gonna say delete, ask. I'm gonna use Claude, and I'm gonna say, based on this content of the scraped website, job site, find me a job that fits my preference, which is AI full stack developer. Make sure to show me the URL for it too. And I'm just gonna paste in the entire thing. So usually LLM, especially LLMs from Anthropic, likes XML tags. I'm just gonna create these tags and then paste in the entire content of the site that we just scraped here. And again, this is behind the scenes what our agent was doing. So I'm gonna hit enter, and then it's gonna generate, and then it's gonna run some stuff, and then hopefully it'll bring back the same one, which is diligent. But we'll see. So now it's gonna spit out like an answer. I don't know why it's thinking so much. This is not a task that requires a lot of thinking. Like this is just like overthinking a lot. Okay, so now it found like a bunch. Let's see. So now we have Venta, Spark AI, Cyro. We didn't actually see Diligent, even though our agent here found one from Diligent, which is very interesting. Let's see. Yeah, Diligent. And it says founding AI engineer. But I guess here this AI thinks that full stack engineer is a closer match than an AI engineer. I personally think this one is probably the closest match in terms of name. But yeah, so I guess different AI, different ways of prompting will yield you different results. But behind the scenes, it was doing this. So scrape, get the amount of content out. And as you can see here, it surfaces both the job and the URL. So now if you run the agent again, it has access to this URL. So it can take that text and then pass it into our MCP server and then run the scrape tool to then scrape again, to then get the markdown from this particular page. And then finally give us an answer. So hopefully that makes some sense there. I'm going to answer more questions. How will you evaluate this agent? On a small scale, you just run it until you feel satisfied with the results. On a larger scale, if you're working with a team or if you have like a product that does this, then you would want to either, first of all, you have to start tracing. So tracing means that observability. So you have to track all these calls to LMs, so that eventually you can look back and say, okay, so I had like 200 calls this month. Now I can see the results of them, and then maybe have somebody from your team or like a subject matter expert go in and then grade them, like each one individually. It's just like thumbs up, thumbs down, and then all the thumbs down, you could prompt around it, or on the thumbs up, you can keep those on the side as its own data set, and then you can like either do some fine tuning, which usually people don't recommend, or you could prompt until you run those cases again, and then it passes. But either way, evaluation, you usually need somebody or something that can give you like a correct answer so that you can compare against. So what people usually do with evaluation is that they would try to set up some sort of eval framework to not experience regression. So for example, if you move from GPT 4.0 to GPT 4.1, you might test it for 5 cases and it works well, but for like the 50 other cases that your application has to do, maybe it regress, it does worse. Then you want some sort of testing framework there to catch that, so that you can prompt around it or like mitigate that. how did you program this demo yourself, or did it come with help from Cursor or similar? I use Cursor for this, so I already know what I wanted to build, and I've used OpenAI Agents SDK quite a lot already. So I got a bit lazy, and I was just like, okay, so I want to do it like this. I want to hit this page. I want it to like set up a certain way. So I wrote like a spec for Cursor. So what you can do is write down like a spec of like, okay, I wanted to do this, that, and then that. But then you kind of have to know how these libraries work to even come up with that. So I would say I let Cursor write like the first draft, which is like install all the dependencies for OpenAI Agents SDK, and then set up the boilerplate of like, okay, this is the agent constructor, and then stuff like that. And then I went in and edited like the MCP stuff manually because that stuff is like also new to me on the agents SDK's docs, and some of the stuff I had to fix. So I would say, with the Claude 4 Sonnet that came out recently, I feel pretty confident with like passing that like documentation to Cursor and like have it kind of set up the boilerplate. And then, once we have the main PY file, all that stuff, and agents like constructor, then I can go in and build it in the way that I want. So because like that's the part that I dread the most, which is like to get started. But once it's there, then I can go in and fix things, change stuff. And keep in mind, this is not how I used to code. This is like something that I was experimenting with recently, which is Claude 4 Sonnet good enough for me to just let it run like that? So in the bootcamp, you'll see me like use Cursor live. You see your other students use Cursor and like other tools like Windsurf and stuff like that, and especially V0, which is like a great way to build front end tools if you're going with like a Next.js TypeScript kind of stack. In the bootcamp, actually, this is one of the special things about our bootcamp. If you're comfortable with Python and you have a clear reason for why you want to stick to it, like I can roll with that too, because I can do Python and TypeScript at the same time. So I think like 1/3 or like half our students use Python. They have picked up either already knew TypeScript or picked up TypeScript in the first week. So if you want more of a challenge, you're coming from a Python background, you want a challenge, you want to work for like a basically a YC startup, then pick up TypeScript. The entire stack for the AI agents, both front end and back end, can be built with TypeScript very easily and very ergonomic. And if you're coming from Python, you're probably going to have a great time because the developer experience there is on the TypeScript side is more mature. Because the Python side, it was made for data scientists and stuff like that. So with UV, it makes life better, but there's still a lot of things we like from TypeScript more. Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna answer one more question, and then I'm gonna go to the mall. Let's see. Do results to user change based on model used for the agent? Is the same to use a cheaper model versus more expensive? Yeah, great question. It's up to you when you like develop these applications and you run your test cases. If you find out it's lacking in terms of like reasoning, or maybe like it's picking the wrong tools, passing in the wrong arguments to the tools, try a larger model. But of course, when you're switching models, there are a whole bunch of trade-offs that you can keep in mind. So like different models, especially from different companies or different labs, have different ways to prompt them. Smaller models usually require more prompting to get it to work better, but they're usually faster, so you have less latency. If you care about latency, if your application is like a user-sensitive thing, like shopping, latency is a huge thing. And yeah, so different models yield you, different results. Most apps created from vibe coding have very weak cybersecurity. Will we learn how to create secure apps with strong firewall using vibe coding in this bootcamp? We won't necessarily learn about vibe coding. I think it's just that that's what we found people to be doing a lot of times, and we support vibe coding as much as we can. In terms of like security, you do the basics, and I'm here to make sure that you do know the basics. So like if you're building the API endpoints, of course you're gonna have to like have some sort of authentication there, and especially when you're building with Supabase, if you build Supabase and you don't use your service key on the front end, that kind of stuff, little things like that. I'll show you guys. When people say like, oh, security problems with vibe coding, it's like literally like salespeople building like apps for the first time, and you should cut them some slack because it's the first time in their lives they're doing this, and instead of shaming them, we should show them the way, and that's what I'm here to do, to show you the way of proper vibe coding. um, but it shouldn't be like one shot everything, which we're getting to that point eventually. Like we're getting to a point where you can one shot entire apps and it'll be secure. Like I'm sure that's going to happen in a couple of years, but as of today, you work with Cursor with what you want to build, and then you bake into your prom kind of like best practices, whether through Cursor rules or documentation. Tell it to come up with a plan before actually changing files and stuff like that. Those little things you'll learn about from me and other students and from Mary. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Like the cases that you see on X are usually people who have like built something really fast and then did not test at all and have zero technical background and have real users. Those are usually like a combination for catastrophe. But yeah, I'm gonna pass it back to Mary. I think I yapped enough today, but it was nice talking to everybody. Actually, I was talking to myself, but it was nice that everyone is seeing my screen. Happy to be here. So
I think we are going to be wrapping this up too. I just want to congratulate a few people that joined today, and I think we're all excited to have you on board, and I'm glad that Hai got to share how this is going to work. Like whatever the way he presented the demo today, it's just like how it's going to be every day. And I really love Hai's teaching style because at the end of the day, it's also more about coaching. Because I know more people, especially like beginners or non-technical people, are afraid of touching code, even with Cursor. And the whole like goal with the bootcamp is to decrease the amount of fear that you have around just trying out new things and building things for yourself for the first time. So if you've never coded, this is totally okay because we have non-technical people that joined and started building stuff and learning the fundamentals that they need. But yeah, I think that was the GitHub repo. I think we can share it here, and I will also share all the updates with the email. Let me. So here's the GitHub link in the chat, and whoever signed up for today's webinar, we're gonna send the link on the email as well. Have you considered doing such live sessions in Zoom? I actually heard about this, but I'm not sure how better this is. But if you think it's better, I will have to check it out. But yeah, awesome. I think this is a wrap. Thank you, Rogers, too, for being here. Hope you found today's session valuable and you learned something new with MCPs and OpenAI Agent SDK. And for those who joined the bootcamp, we can't wait to see you on June 12th. Yes, the start date is June 12th. It's updated on the Stripe. And before that, you will receive some onboarding emails probably that week. And yeah, I think this was great. Thank you, guys. So how many spots? So we have 7 spots left with this code only because this code is going to expire. Again, this code was only meant for webinar attendees. So those who joined. Great job because this is the largest discount you're going to get because we're filling up and yeah, we can't wait to meet everybody who joined. Thank you everyone. And if you learn something new today, you know what you should do? You should share it on LinkedIn. Just share like top 3 things that you learned today and tag me and hi and break into data. And would love to support your post and repost it with your network and give you more exposure that way. Because the bootcamp is not only about building, it's also about learning how to leverage social media so you can get users on your applications. And this is very important with this era where we're democratizing software. It's important to know how to promote. And I will be sharing a lot about how I grew my LinkedIn as well, so that you can start leveraging social media and getting your first beta users to start getting that data for your evals and bettering your own product. So keep that in mind. And yeah, I think this is it. Thank you guys for joining today, and I hope to see you again. Probably we're going to host another webinar next week or something before the start of the bootcamp. But yeah, this was great. Thank you guys for joining. Right. Bye.